Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures. We got a short and sweet weekly painting progress for you this week. Mostly because it's been hot and I've been busy. And I actually have been trying to paint stuff. I just didn't really finish much, unfortunately. I have been super preoccupied with these Foot Knights from Wargames Atlantic. And for as much as the can of matte varnish claims to have an anti-shine coat, I am finding myself in some serious doubt about that. That is super shiny still. Like shinier than when I painted him. Very simple, basic paint job. Especially when he's in focus. There you go. This is a fun kit, I gotta say. I have had fun building these guys. And I love the fact that they're not really specifically anything. They're just generic Foot Knights. I mean, obviously we have a certain time span of history that guys like this would have been running around. But I mean, you know, granted, if you've got access to piles of plastic or custom bits, you could really come up with some cool stuff. Now, admittedly, I have not yet. Will I? I'm sure at some point or another. This was supposed to be a blue and black pattern, but again, the shine seems to have absorbed everything that I threw at it and ended up shinier in the process. Oh well. Again, this is one of those figures that, you know, I think from a distance, it's not going to make a huge difference. This one I was trying a different ink, and I guess it turned out kind of noticeable. I'm not sure. I feel like I should like paint some kind of lame freehand on the tunic and absolutely on the shield. I was looking at those old plastic Britons for inspiration, but they really didn't have much going on either, especially in terms of paint jobs. I feel like I'm having a medieval Sentai team here. The Mystic Knights of Tyrannog. That was a thing, wasn't it? I can't be the only one that remembers that. I was a bit too old for it by the time it was on TV, but they had some really neat toys. Not that I ever bought any, but I thought they looked neat. The designs for like some of the dragons and stuff. I'm rambling, but that's okay. So this is my evil knight. What I was thinking I was going to do was I was going to use a darker, duller chainmail metallic color for all of the bad ones. And then I was going to make the heroic knights like all bright and shiny, like really shiny. And obviously not just like with the matte sealer that comes out gloss, but, you know, like ridiculously shiny for that very purpose. To further accentuate the divide between the good guys and the bad guys. Why I'm going to have good guys and bad guys, I have no idea. My main thought in the back of my head is I'm going to teach a bunch of elementary school kids how to play like Lion Rampant with these guys, especially since they're kind of generic. I don't have to worry about specific eras, time frames, all that. They're just kind of Foot Knights, and I'm sure most 10, 11, 12-year-olds aren't going to really pitch a fit over the fact that, you know, this countries are, you know, asynchronous to whatever other units we've got on the table that day. But something to be aware of is, you know, obviously these are more historically scaled stuff. Not to say that they don't scale nicely with other Wargames Atlantic figures. I feel like what are the Bulldogs? A little bit more chunky. The Aztecs are a little bit more lean. But you know, if you have them hanging around. And I know somebody mentioned using them for Bretonians, but I thought that was way too obvious. I mean, it's like, come on. Why wouldn't you use them as Bretonians? And I mean, they seem to fit pretty well with the older GW stuff. You want to have them fighting Scandinavians. Or Russians. From Fireforge. And in addition to those guys, because I gotta have a little bit of fantasy in there, I went ahead and painted up this big, exalted Chaos Champion from Mom Miniatures. I really like this guy, and what's funny is there was a very similarly designed model from Titan Forge that I finally got around to printing out. And for as much, I don't know if it's just like the pose that was inspired, because they're both kind of like wild barbarian dudes, you know, holding out their axes, but they don't really look the same. So I'm going to have to paint up the Titan Forge one. I'll probably do a video on those. Those Titan Forge Marauders and Barbarians were pretty cool, actually. It's funny, for as simple as a lot of the details are in this guy, I think with a really decent paint job, not that mine is horrid, but could always be better. Trying to paint that mask on him and make sure that you can see the skin underneath it was a bit of a challenge. But this dude is huge. I mean, make no mistake, even if you haven't seen with the regular Marauder Barbarian guys from Mom. Now, they did some knights for August. They were okay. They weren't bad, but considering I'm working my way through this box of plastics from Wargames Atlantic, I'm like, I don't need it. But on the other hand, the stuff for September looks really fun. In a very kind of grim, dark, Soulsborne-esque look to it. So, I forgot they had that Saga fantasy stuff. Maybe I'll have to give it a check out one day. But that's about it for me. Honestly, not a whole lot. But sometimes that's okay. Actually, I keep looking at some of the Wargames Atlantic's 3D printed offerings. I did their Patreon for, not Patreon, Tribe, whatever you call it, but I just got bogged down in so many different kits, and it's kind of cool to go back, and I know my dad wanted me to print some stuff of theirs for him, so I might do some more 1/32 figures, because that is kind of one of the neat things about the 3D printing, is you can blow it up, and unfortunately you can't blow these up, but I know he enjoys that, so I'll have to take a look a little bit more closely at my backlog there. Thinking either the New Zealand Constabulary or like the French Indo-Chinese stuff. That seems like his type of thing. Anyway, I'm rambling at that point, so this point, that point, all the time. I think that's a pretty good indicator that I should stop while I'm ahead, because I am melting in here without the air conditioning on, because it's only on upstairs, and obviously I'm downstairs. So, without further ado, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye!